when you're floating?
When I was doing that zero gravity flight, oh my gosh, yeah, I was scared but excited. So the closest thing to it is like, have you learned to ride a bicycle yet?
Yeah.
So were you kind of scared but excited at the same? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best way to explain it. Yeah, you wanna be able to do it, but then you're like when it kind of kicks in, because you don't know how to move your body properly, and you can kind of you can hurt yourself a little bit as well.
Yeah,
So there's a person there to take care of you, to make sure you don't bang your legs or anything off the wall.
Yeah.
But I was scared but excited at the same time. It was brilliant. But I didn't master it at all. Like, I held on to the bar the whole time and I didn't have to, But it was great fun. It was great fun.
So Chris Hatfield, like, I kind of like him if you can't tell.
Yeah.
He brought up a guitar in sang Space Odyssey. I was wondering, if you go to space, would you do anything to promote STEM to people around the world, and especially people in guiding?
I definitely would. I would definitely do something creative, because that's a lot of the reason why I do what I do. So I would hope when I'd be there that I would write a bit, but also I probably would like to perform something when I'm there, and I would bring up a lot of different things that people would give to me. So, like, say for the guides, I went up and you guys wrote me a poem or something like that, then I would recite the poem when I was up there. And I would try to do a movement piece or something when I'm there, because it's so hard to move in zero gravity. But a massive part of what I do is to bring other people's stuff up with me in any way that I can.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Now it's my go.
It's your go, yeah.
So when you go to space.
Well, but yeah.
Yeah. When you're allowed to run around all like that, can you just jump into the earth?
Could you just jump back down, like, without being in a spacesuit?
Yeah.
I don't think so. You know the way, so let's talk about why. So take a breath in and breathe out. How come we can do that? What's in the air? We've got oxygen in the air, and we've got nitrogen, and we've got water vapor and all other elements in the air, and that's our atmosphere, right? And that atmosphere has a pressure. So we don't really see it, but you know the way when you clap your hands?
Yeah.
That's why it makes a sound. Have you ever been on a plane?
Yeah.
Do you know how a plane stays in the air?
Air.
Air keeps it. It's the pressure of the air that keeps it in the air, and eventually when you go so high, there's not enough air to hold the plane up. So air is really good, or our atmosphere is really good, and it actually keeps us really safe. It keeps things from coming down to our planet. So you've got things going past Earth all the time that get pulled in by our gravity, but the air goes, oh no, you didn't, no. So just like the way when we put our hands outside the window, the air goes, no, because there's a pressure. So if you and I were to suddenly go, I'm going, lads, like we decided to jump out of our spacecraft and we went down to air would go, no, and it would just push us back. So much so that when spacecrafts try to re-enter Earth, they heat up really hot, like up to 2,000 degrees on the outside, because air's going, no, you're not getting it. It's pushing, and all this heat's given off, and eventually they get through. But they have to make sure that they're in a spacecraft that's strong enough to withstand that heat. So that's why you can't just go, I'm gone, lads, because air will just bounce you back out again, because the pressure of air is so good. But it's an amazing feeling. Well, so it's a special plane trip. So have you been in a plane? Of course you have, because you come back from Canada, right? So you know the score. You take off, and then you kind of go flat, and then you come down.
Yeah.
Okay, so this plane ride is very different, okay? This time you take off, you go flat, and then 10 times they go up at a really vertical angle, and they go down at a really vertical angle. And when you're on the turn of the plane, on the way up from way down, you get pockets of floating. And it's kind of like you're actually falling in the plane together. That's actually what's happening. But in order to do that, when you go up at the really hard angle and down at the really hard angle, you've got twice the force of gravity on you, and it feels awful. It's like, and it makes you want to throw up. So you have to experience something really uncomfortable in order to have like 30 or 40 seconds of being in free fall. So your body doesn't know what's going on. So it's a really strange feeling. So you go from like, I don't want to move, to suddenly, you're kind of flying. And the closest thing to it would be, I guess, when you're in a roller coaster, and like you go around a corner, and the corner's like pushing you to the edge, and then suddenly you drop forward, like, it's a bit like that. That's probably the best way to explain it. and it takes ages to get used to. The first few times you've no idea what's going on, and I laughed a lot. I laughed a lot, and after a while you begin to understand how to move in when you're kind of in that free fall. And so you're able to do spins, and some people were able to kind of do tumbles and fly right across the length of the plane as well.
Be able to.
That takes a lot of it takes a lot of practice, and you have to get used to the feeling, and you have to be able to relax. If you get stressed at all, you go like, so loads of people were like throwing up around me. It's like, but thankfully I didn't throw up. That's my proudest thing, that I didn't throw up.
And how could like a girl become an astronaut? Like what, like
In the same way a boy does, there's no difference whatsoever, you know.
God.
It would be good for you to study science or maths in some way. You know, a lot of the reason why people are going on missions to the International Space Station now it's kind of to understand how our bodies behave, you know, when we're orbiting the Earth, and what would they be like long term if we were to go on longer missions to space or whatever. So having a scientific background would be really, really good.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, if you have a background in flying, like also people who are involved in, you know, the Air Force, they can also apply. But really, it's just about really sticking to your goal and working really hard towards achieving it. And learning how to work well in teams is a massive part of it, and that's why I think your work with the Girl Guides is really helpful towards that. And ultimately then, they are looking for people who have the right attitude, who understand how to share when they have to, but also take care of their crew when they have to. So you have to be able to follow and be able to lead, and let people, you know, when it's their turn to lead, that you let that happen. That's an important part of it. But it's not difficult, it's just about committing to it and working really hard towards it.
Yeah.
And being good at science and engineering and maths really helps.
Yeah.
So let's go to space. Will we go off and have a cup of tea in space? Yeah, come on, let's do it.